There is another way we could be reducing harm. Pill testing machines could be introduced at every festival around the country to check ecstasy and MDMA before young Australians take it.
Now that's information that all people would want to have, and incidentally all parents would want their sons or daughters to have, or their brothers and sisters to have.
Do we have the technology, the capability in Australia to start pill testing at events?
Of course we do. We could start pill testing this year.
Does it reduce harm?
No doubt. So what it does is by presenting consumers with simple facts about what's in their substance, we can engage in a discussion that is based on the science of the hazards rather than the morality of the hazards of their behaviour. But the important thing is disrupting that decision to consume the pill at that point.
But no government has taken that step and introduced pill testing at events. Now, a chorus of eminent medical and law enforcement minds are pleading for that to change.
Should Australia introduce drug testing at festivals, at dance parties?
Yes, Australia should introduce drug checking, as I would call it, at all public events where it is highly likely that people are going to be bringing drugs.
Well, I think it makes absolute sense to try to test the quality of the drugs that people are taking.
If we have the technology, if we have the capability, then why aren't we doing it?
You will have to ask the policymakers why they have not instituted this action.
You would actually be open to...
We did just that.
Minister Grant, do you support the introduction of pill testing to reduce harm?
Absolutely do not.
Absolutely do not?
I absolutely do not.
Why?
Because pill testing will not save a life.
How do you know that?
Because a pill testing regime may well tell you what's in that pill, but it has no way to tell you whether it will kill you or not. And that's been demonstrated by the National Oversight Committee in the Netherlands, where they've had 14 deaths, in my understanding, in 2014, where they do have a pill testing regime.
14 deaths from?
Drug use.
No, what drugs?
I will get you all that information and you're free to have a look at it and qualify and justify the material I'm referring to.
We contacted the institute that authored the Netherlands report. It told us Troy Grant has misread their material, labelling the minister's argument wishful thinking, simplistic and rash. Firstly, there is no pill testing regime in place at music festivals and public events in the Netherlands. And the 14 deaths the minister refers to weren't just from ecstasy or MDMA. They were from a wide range of psychotropic stimulants. But the New South Wales Police Minister won't be moved.
What you're proposing there is a government regime that is asking for taxpayers' money to support a drug dealer's business enterprise. That's not going to happen in New South Wales while ever I'm the minister.
When you look at the arguments authorities trot out for why they can't allow pill testing in Australia, they are so weak. I would be embarrassed to say things like that myself, and yet the politicians trot out this nonsense.
7 deaths of young Australians in 12 months. Do you think that fits the bill of a public benefit to introduce drug checking?
You bet I do.
This is how our governments are fighting the so-called war on drugs. Around $40 million is spent annually on harm reduction, a mere 2% of total spending, while policing and law enforcement receives an estimated $1.2 billion, accounting for 64%. But what is this massive investment in law enforcement achieving?
Is the amount of money that we're putting into law enforcement to deal with the drug issue working? And in my opinion, no, I don't think it is.
Huge waste of resources and are counterproductive. I mean, instead of reducing harms in that environment, we're aggravating them.
But what does it actually do, this police presence?
What does it do? Well, I mean, I think it creates alarm and fear. No question about that. It seizes some drugs. I don't think it deters many people from attempting to get drugs into a festival that intended to do so. And it publicly embarrasses a lot of young people who happen to be busted in the process. And obviously potentially gives people convictions for a crime that you have to argue should never be one.
On that assessment, it's a failure.
I think it's a failure, yes.